Breaking news, the National Guard has just been deployed in Los Angeles after President Trump sent 2,000 troops to assist with federal ICE raids that led to dozens of arrests in areas like downtown, the Fashion District, and Paramount. Protests quickly broke out with tear gas, flashbangs, and chaos spreading across the city. Officials are calling it a violent insurrection targeting law enforcement, but California leaders like Governor Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass say the move is unnecessary and dangerous. This is the first time the National Guard has been federalized under Title 10 in Los Angeles since the 1992 Rodney King riots, putting them under direct presidential control. People have been reportedly injured during the raids, and immigrant rights groups, along with the Mexican consulate, are speaking out. The situation is escalating fast under what's being called Operation Safeguard, with armored vehicles spotted downtown and videos flooding social media showing federal agents clashing with protesters in the streets. What are your thoughts on this situation currently happening in Los Angeles?
I'm Giovanna Lotta. You're taking a live look at one of the protests underway in Los Angeles just a few hours after the mass immigration raids. Chris Christie is live in Air 7 with the latest. Chris.
That's right, Giovanna. It's a major protest going on about 2 hours now. Close to 1,000 people now wrapping around the detention facility between Alameda and Los Angeles Street. They started on the front steps of the federal building at 300 Los Angeles, now marching down Aliso. In the lead there is that cattle truck leading the pack as they make the turn onto Alameda Street. The strategy here is to basically encircle the detention facility, which is that building right there, where we understand there are actually some people inside of the building. It's a surreal sight. This Black Hawk moved in just in the last few minutes from the Border Patrol, landing at that Homeland Security office on the Paramount side, right next to the Home Depot, and they are unloading this huge helicopter with, just boxes and boxes, dozens of boxes of ammunitions, less lethal weaponry. You see these tanks with flammable labels on the side, one after another, an entire shipment, as if they were getting ready for some kind of a major battle. It really has to be said, this is a remarkable sight. In the middle of a suburban street here, where they are just unloading all of these weapons, carts full of boxes and flammable weaponry. So you can see that it just made its own parking spot there in the parking lot of that Homeland Security office on the other side of the river, where all of this is taking place, and just a few blocks from that Home Depot and right across the freeway from where that car fire was just a few blocks away, and the protesters and Sheriff's Department had been squaring off. But this site here at the Homeland Security office of these federal officials unloading dozens of boxes of weapons and ammunition is just quite a sight to behold here.
Protesters, yes, but if you just squint, it could easily be the BLM protesters or the Free Palestine protesters or the Resist Doge protesters or the Resist ICE, in this case, protesters. It is this dirtbag coalition of leftist, violent so-called protest that has been a huge problem in this country for years, and they are escalating.
Yeah, Conch, you don't see Democrats coming out with any sort of outrage over the destruction here. Their outrage is the opposite. It's over the ICE officials who were out there.
Let me give you 5 names where we're not hearing a lot from right now, except to attack these ICE officials, which is leading to attacks like this. Karen Bass, Los Angeles mayor; Gavin Newsom, California governor; Adam Schiff, who's awfully active on X and social media condemning, to Guy's point, Donald Trump. Not hearing anything from him. Eric Swalwell as well. You can't get away from this guy on social media attacking Trump. Nancy Pelosi, the former House Speaker. Where are you? This is war right now that we're seeing in terms of our federal agents being attacked and California officials doing nothing to stop it.
No, it's going to be an incredibly bad look in the next 24 to 48 hours if you don't get the governor out there, if you don't get someone out there to at least get people to stop. Because right now you have city leaders encouraging people to join the resistance.
Los Angeles. This is live. You see the images. It's continuing right now. Less than lethal rounds as we speak. these crowd dispersal tactics being used on a group of protesters that are protesting in Paramount, California. Those in the area basically call this Compton. It's outside of a Home Depot where protests began earlier today, and there we see those gas canisters. The people covering their eyes, their mouths, their noses. These pepper balls impact all of the senses. And this is a big show that they're doing here. A big display of the less than lethal rounds. Visibility.
What the fuck?
Look at this. Look at this. Look, they're shaking. Look. See what I'm saying? Look, oh my goodness. Look at this. Yo, they're coming out crazy. This is live. Whoa, look at this. Oh, they just dispersed the crowd quickly. Whoa, look at this. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. I saw this pop up on another feed and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening here? They were all like going towards this garage. And look, holy smokes.
It's so wild keeping track of both of these scenes.
This is erupting violence there in New York City. This is all outside of a federal building. That officer holding her eye. A person seemingly being detained.
One woman, hands behind her back, being detained by officers.
You could have stopped that!
How did you know this was happening?
Reddit.
Breaking news now, Donald Trump plans to mobilize the National Guard against people who are protesting ICE in Los Angeles. And now we know what the distractions have been for. This comes directly from Tom Homan, who says to counter the protest against ICE, he's going to move in the National Guards and put soldiers on the streets. Listen.
She says they're going to mobilize, but guess what? We're already ahead of the game. We're already mobilizing. We're going to bring National Guard in tonight. We're going to continue doing our job.
Yeah, National Guard putting soldiers on the streets against protesters. And if you remember, this is exactly where we left Donald Trump last time he was in office. The last time there were protests against his policies, there were protests in D.C.'s, he unleashed the National Guard. He used militarized police against them, against people utilizing the First Amendment. Now, I am not suggesting people hitting and throwing rocks at police officers should just go unpunished. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the people peacefully protesting. This is what the distractions have been for. This is what they've been trying to hide. And the question is martial law coming?
This is 2 Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition amongst men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Shalom. Ka'ala Yahweh Ba'Shem Yashayah Ba'Shem Rakakodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yashayah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the sedition that we're seeing on the streets of Babylon, that being the biblical name for America. You see, as that prophecy in 2 Ezra said, that the end times would be marred with people rising up against their government. And when you look at the videos that I just showed you, this particularly, the majority of those videos were from the Los Angeles riots due to the ICE raids going on that, for the most part, are targeting Northern Kingdom Israelites, the so-called Latinos and Native Americans. But on top of that, the last two videos also showed a real quick recap of what's going on over in New York and also in Philadelphia, or Minneapolis, excuse me. So the point being is that there's a lot of people being roused up right now against the powers that be. And why is that? Well, because we're in that time. We're in the last days. And because of that, the people are being agitated more. They're waking up to the corruption that has basically ran their life for the last couple of years. And they're now taking a stand. In this particular case, the people are fighting up against what they perceived as the unjustful oppression of themselves. You see, yes, there was tons of illegal immigrants brought into the country, but this was all done on purpose. You see, the Edomites, which is the biblical name for the so-called Caucasian and Israeli race, they did this on purpose. You see, what they're doing is they're currently going through, they're transitioning to the New World Order, okay? This is where they're going to destroy the old countries, the old power alliances, and pretty much they're going to rearrange the status quo, which is going to solidify them on the top in power, and the rest of us, namely us Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, in a state of perpetual servitude. And how are they doing this? Well, they're turning the first world into the third world. And how are they doing that? Well, they're basically bringing in a lot of these third world immigrants, or should I say refugees, because again, remember, for the last 20 years, Esau, or should I say 20 years plus, Esau has been waging a relentless war upon the Middle East and in Africa, basically third world countries, all in the name of bringing forward the Greater Israel Project. That being the Amalekites, the so-called Israeli people, this vision for basically for them taking over all the Middle East, including Ukraine, okay, which is their ancient homeland after they came out of Petra, which is modern-day Jordan. But again, all this is being done on purpose by these Edomites. Why did I say that? Well, because again, they are going through this mass change of their society, and in doing so, they're basically destroying the old system. And in doing so, they're going to take a lot of the 2/3 of our people out, okay? And, or should I say, they're going to cause a lot of the people, normal people, the 2/3 of our people, 2/3 being the Israelites that are just not going to make it because they're not going to wake up to what's going on. They're going to fall for the devil's tricks. They're going to take a lot of them with them, right? You've already seen the chemical warfare that they've, pushed out against these Israelites and against the rest of humanity. Those are the people that took that snake bite that are now dying off in mass numbers due to higher rates of heart attacks and blood clots and whatnot. Well, the other thing is oppression, right? Where they start to bring people into the cities, and then what they do is then they bring in a outside agitator. That would be these immigrants that they allowed to come into the country, so that way they could have a reason to start to go against them. And while they're going after them, they're also going to be going after these Israelites, the Israelites who are stuck in these smaller cities, the ones that are causing problems for Esau. Just as Esau, who were the pagan Romans, kicked out the Israelites out of Rome because they were causing too much problems, they're going to do the same thing here in Babylon the Great. And why is that? Well, because you see, these Edomites see that they're starting to become the minority in their own countries. Okay, this is why they're trying to now use force to stay in power. This is Isaiah 59 and 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yashayah shall lift up a standard against him. And you see, these Edomites, right now, it's just these small little scuffles in random cities. Right today, Trump brought out the National Guard. Right, I think he brought out like 2,000 National Guards here to Los Angeles, which is like the first time they've been deployed. Well, that's not going to go away. You see, these National Guards that have been stationed temporarily over there in Santa Monica, where the fires were at, they're stationed over there in New York in the subways. That's going to continue, and it's going to just be something that's common, right? Pretty soon, to go into cities, you're going to need to start to pass the National Guard checkpoints or the military checkpoints to go into cities. And again, if you don't have the proper ID, you don't have the right social credits, then you ain't going to get in. Okay, if you're not from that area, you're not going to enter. And that's because, you see, Esau, he is locking things down, right? And he's coming in like a flood into these cities where Jake dwells. Okay, this is why we've told a lot of you, Akim, if you can, you should need to get out of these cities, right? Go into the rural areas, be as a pilgrim, as the scriptures say, right, during these last days, because we do not want to get caught up in any of this stuff. This is 2 Ezra 9 and 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonders and powerful works, and the endings in effects and signs. So you see, all this upheaval of the people, the sedition amongst the citizenry against their elected officials, those are all signs that we're coming to an end, right? We're seeing all these random earthquakes and volcano eruptions, right? Or what the scripture calls the pillars of smoke coming all over the earth. There's definitely things that are happening now that were described in the Bible, and because we look towards the prophecies of the Bible, we understand that we're living in those days. Okay, so no more of the "well, it ain't gonna happen in my lifetime," rhetoric. It is gonna happen in our time. This is gonna go down, as the apostle said, within the next 10, 15 years, right? He said he doesn't see it going past any further than that, and I don't either, right? Because imagine having Russia and the BRICS nations basically, hold their breath, waiting for the Western NATO powers to make a move. It's definitely going to happen before that. And when you look at the big, beautiful bill that Trump and all the House of Amalek passed, right? What it was one of the major provisions in that new bill that gives us a hint, right? Well, they said that for the next 10 years, that no state or government agency can propose or put into effect any law that would hamper, dissuade, or stop AI's development. And why is that? Well, because you see, within the next 10 years, Esau is planning to go full force with his AI implementation of the beast system, which is going to end up with him requiring everybody to get a biometrically implanted chip, either in their hand or in their foreheads, through companies like the Neuralink brain implant company or the Verichip identification companies, right? These chips are going to be capable of holding your digital real ID, which they're now starting to make mandated across Babylon the Great, America, right? But again, we see this, right? And this is why we're warning you, Akim. This is why we share these videos, because we don't want you to get caught up in this. Yes, it's exciting to see this stuff go down, and yes, you could get caught up in the moment when you see like these videos on Instagram and whatnot. You see our people are being persecuted, but remember, these are all things that have to come to pass, and these are things that the Lord in the Bible told us not to be involved in. This is Exodus 23:2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to risk judgment. Now, it tells us here, straight up, that we're not supposed to be involved with the mass multitude of people doing what they're doing, because again, what they're doing is being misled, right? They're being purposely made to riot, so that way Esau has a reason to call in the martial law, to call in the National Guard, to make more oppressive laws and eventually require papers for you to travel, right? See, us as Hebrew Israelites, we're not to follow the multitude to do evil. In fact, the Bible even tells you that those of our people who are going to be rising up against these Edomites in these last days, that they themselves are going to be considered the wicked ones, right? Let me read this real quick. This is Job 20:22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Now, right here when it says in the fullness of his sufficiency, this is talking about these Edomite sufficiency, right? You see, these Edomites are very close to fulfilling their world domination agenda. That being bringing forward this new one world order, right, where they are solidified in control. But what's going to happen is when they are almost about to reach this, the Lord's going to bring difficult times upon them. They're going to start to mess up. Their plan isn't going to work out as it's supposed to. And what's going to eventually happen is that the hand of the wicked, and this word here, when you look into the word wicked, it really means the laborers, right? Or should I say the 2/3 of the Israelites, okay? Basically, the wicked 2/3 are going to start to come upon these Edomites and mess up their plans. This is why not only are you seeing riots happening here in Babylon the Great, but they're happening all over the world. There's a riot right now, or mass protest happening in Italy due to the immigrants There's one going on in Spain. There's one, I think France just last week had a protest because of, you know, soccer, but still that roused up a lot of people. There's just tons of protests going on around the world. I think there was one even in Malaysia or something, but you have Pakistan, India in flames right now just because there's massive tensions between them. They even had a small skirmish before, so the thing is we're living in that time where these prophecies are talking. And again, I'm just here to show you, Akim, about what's going on, but also to remind you to not get involved in these, right? Yes, you could go ahead and comment on these on social media pages, but don't go out to these events because, again, there's going to be nothing but judgment going on in these events. We want to separate ourselves and simply just continue to do the work, continue to watch and pray, and that the Lord spares us from all this wickedness to come. So either way, Akim, hopefully this video was edifying. Stay safe out there. There's a lot of crazy things going down and are going to continue to go down because, again, we're in that season. We're in that time where Esau is starting to, he's about to pull the plug, and you're going to start seeing a lot of these fireworks go off. So, all right, Akim, until next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yashayah, Ba'Shem Rukok Kodash. Shalom.